How do you feel coming out of the European portion of preseason?
Yeah, I felt like it was nothing new for us. We've done it, continuously over the last 4 years. Had some good games there. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't the best. But other than that, I mean, just a good preseason. But I feel like everybody was very happy to be back.
How do you feel like the whole central midfield situation is shaping up?
Yeah, I mean, Obed left. Great move. Everybody's very happy for him, and it's kind of that mentality that we had over the last couple of years: is the next man up. And we have guys who can play that position and maybe slightly differently. So, we're working on our build up and the way we want to do things. We don't want to change a whole lot from last year because we feel like it's been really good. But we do want to add some tweaks to it, especially if we face teams who are in a very low block, and we faced that in the playoffs last year. So just trying to improve on last year a little bit.
You don't strike me as someone who thinks about this very much, but do you feel like you get the proper respect from the sort of the pundit class? I mean, every year you're basically putting up double-digit goals and assists, and it never seems like you're mentioned as one of the elite players in the league.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then I do see stuff, especially on Instagram. That's the only platform that I'm on. So I don't have Twitter and none of the other ones, and I guess they're the popular ones for all of that. So I don't really pay attention to it, but yes, I am aware and I do see it every now and then. So it's one of those that it's people's opinions. Everybody's entitled to have one. Doesn't mean you're right. Yeah, it's just one of those. I try to do my job, honestly, and I laugh sometimes, and sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're right what they say. If you're talking about the pundits, they also have to give criticism sometimes, and as long as it's it has a structure to it, I'm okay with that. And I just don't talk about for myself, but overall for any player that they talk about. But you see it all over the world. Sometimes they're just, talking to get likes and comments and views, and that for me is not right. But then again, yeah, it doesn't really bother me.
You mentioned Obed leaving, and Brian kind of mentioned you the possibility of helping their dropping back a line. You've been so successful at the 10, higher up the field. What are your thoughts on that possibility of you maybe dropping back a line, helping next to Christian?
Yeah, I mean, we have spoken, that being a possibility. But then again, we do have, we have plenty of midfielders that are more natural, holding midfielders than myself. So whether that's an option, if we're pushing to score a goal late in a game, or a certain type of games we want to be more attacking. That will all depend on the game and the opposition and how the team is doing. So yeah, I do think it's an option, but I don't feel like it's the first option.
In terms of those plenty of players, how do you feel like Hassani has worked into the team so far?
Yeah, I think he's been really good. Throughout the preseason, Portugal, Marbella, and even here, he kind of fitted like he's been here for a long time. So happy for him, and it's always good when a new player comes in and kind of fits in, and that transition is really smooth. So yeah, I think not just me, but everybody's been really pleased with it.
Do you feel like with 9 days before the season starts, you have to do any more with that cohesion, or is it kind of where you guys want it to be right now ahead of Colorado?
No, I think we're in a good spot. Honestly, I think we're in a good spot. Most of us are healthy, which is important. And yeah, it's going to take some time of playing together, but it's also going to take time to play together meaningful games. I do not want to say that the preseason games are not meaningful, but they're nowhere near the same as a league game, and when you're actually playing for points and there's a table and stuff. So I think the more competitive games we play together, it'll get better.
Albert, in your build-up, just whether you've looked at it now, in attacking space, what needs to happen, just in general? I know you haven't got specifically, but in your build-up, what do you think needs to happen in attacking space and overloading pockets?
I mean, same thing that was happening last year. I feel like that was our biggest strength. I think we scored a lot of goals. I think we were maybe number one or top three in the possession in the league. So yeah, all of that would build up. The attacking movements, creating chances, runs in behind, and all that. I think that's been our biggest strength. So yeah, just to keep that going, I think it'll be difficult because maybe teams will be more aware of how we're playing since we've done it continuously for a couple of years. But that's when I try to say we're trying to add little tweaks. For the teams that are prepared for us very well, that we do have on a plan B and a plan C in terms of how to attack. So yeah, just trying to get better than last year again.
On the other side,
Let's go, guys.
defensively, the year before, I think you allowed the least amount of goals. Last year, you were somewhere mid-range. Has that been kind of a point of emphasis, something to talk about?
Yes, we did talk about it. We want to concede less goals. But then again, if you compared it 2 years ago to last year, 2 years ago we conceded the least goals, but people are moaning about not scoring goals. Last year we score goals. Now people are moaning that you concede, and so I mean, it's very natural that if you play more attacking, you're gonna be a little bit open at the back. So when you lose the ball, you'll be more vulnerable to the counterattacks, and you might concede more goals than if you played it safe. So, but we want to be on the front line. We want to be attacking. So as far as going forward, we want to do the same. And then everybody, the guys up front, midfielders, everybody's going to have to do a little extra to help our defenders out.
On that defensive component, you pressing, going back to the first week that we saw you here, it seemed like you were very engaged, very ongoing. I remember you opening your FIFA card and being like, the defensive component should be a little higher. Is that something that you're going to be looking at this season, is just to be more active defensively?
Yeah, it's because it's all those guys that you see. No, I mean, yeah, it's not my biggest strength, let's be honest, But I did feel like, I don't remember what the number was in that card, but it was pretty low, and maybe 10, 15 higher would be reasonable, I think.
But when it comes to your pressing with a guy like Jesus, that he kind of takes a lot of pride in that component, do you feel like that's going to help you guys as a collective to better press teams?
Yeah. I mean, it's pressing is not necessarily about putting your head down and running to the nearest guy and just show that you are working hard. It's really about thinking and angles and where you force them with the ball. So the running part is important, but I think if you get together as the front 4 or 5 players and you're on the same page, then I think the press is way more effective than if we just go one by one.